Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2, absolutely amazing episode. We're just going to go right into it. As we're getting started, go ahead and comment what your favorite part of this episode was.
He's dead. Who? I don't know you.
Opening up with the hospital hallway scene, interesting choice to me. It's okay, but what I did like about it is it's this dream sequence, which I actually enjoy. I like the line of dialogue, "I don't know who you are," because Abby's character changes so much from when she was younger to where she is now. And that line of dialogue really solidifies that. Her younger self not being able to recognize her older self. And we also just see how that situation is still just this living nightmare to her.
I do have the beginnings of an idea for a plan. Maybe. Just need some time. I have to let it crystallize.
But you're onto something.
I'm onto something. The plan is to convince her to go back. Because if we don't, the only people getting killed out here are us.
So all of Abby's friends, they're there to support Abby, but it doesn't seem like they actually care too much about what's going on with Joel. I know what happens with this dynamic in the game, but I'm curious to see what happens in the show with what Abby eventually does to Joel, how they're going to take it. Because they are changing quite a bit from the game to the show, which some of these changes I like, some of them I don't. So yeah, I just wonder how all Abby's friends there are going to deal with this situation and the aftermath of it all. By the way, if you join the Foster fam, you can watch this video and all my other videos with no ads, and you'd be supporting the channel. I would greatly appreciate that.
They didn't think anything of it until 30 live ones broke through from underneath the corpses. They're using their own dead like insulation. Now we're thinking we don't know how many are underneath the snow. Could be 30 more, could be 1,000 more.
My shit with Joel is complicated. I know that. From the outside, it probably looks really bad. It has been really bad, but I'm still me, he's still Joel, and nothing's ever gonna change that. Ever.
Man, it really sucks that Ellie and Joel weren't able to have the ability to fix their relationship, right? But that's really what drives the narrative of the rest of this season. Coming to terms with all of that, even if it's not in the best way, which we'll come to see. Now, they just brought up one of the biggest changes so far to the game, which is that now Dina is on patrol with Joel. And I actually love this change from the game because it does a couple things to the narrative that I think will make the narrative better. In the show, they obviously want it to seem like Dina and Joel have a relationship, an established relationship that we haven't seen yet on the screen. And so even as someone who played the game, I don't really know their relationship ins and outs because they're changing it, but I like that. I like the dynamic of them having their own separate relationship. I think that's going to work wonders later on in the show.
Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Now half y'all's hung over and want me to shut up, but I'm gonna go through this anyway because it's been a minute.
I thought they did an amazing job of setting up the horde coming through Jackson, because once again, that wasn't in the video game, and they did a great job showing things like this, like what the protocols are if something were to happen, foreshadowing it with finding the infected underneath the snow. Like, they did a great job of setting it up. We knew there was going to be this impending moment of doom, and it played out amazing.
It happens to everyone. People get drunk and say awful shit they've never thought before.
Ellie.
No, that's fair. I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have even thought it. I'm sorry.
This is interesting because in the game, this was just kind of like he just gives Ellie the sandwiches, says sorry, and it's never really brought up again, really, not that much. But supposedly he has his own backstory, an episode or something like that in this season. I believe I read that. And I don't know why. I wonder where they're going to go with that. Is it just going to go into the theme of why he has these hateful views? I hope they don't try to justify it or humanize it. I don't know what they're going to do with that. I'm a little bit concerned, honestly. I am. I don't know where they're going to go with that. I don't know if this is going to be another Bill and Frank type moment where they give us something like a whole episode and storyline that just wasn't in the game at all. I don't know.
Nah, it'll just be up in the mountains.
Fucking hope so. 10 seconds in, I already can't feel my ass.
So there's a lot brewing in this episode tension-wise. You got the horde, that's going to come through, the storm, and then since they established Abby's motivation already in the show, we know that Joel's in trouble as soon as we see him run into her. So there's just so much happening in this episode.
Am I fucking hallucinating?
Maybe. Do you see a 7-Eleven full of weed?
Yep.
Then no.
How'd you know about this place?
Eugene, he was my first patrol partner. One day he showed it to me. Said he found it a year earlier when he was on a solo patrol.
Now, there's something I really like about this scene. It's subtle, but I like it. So in the first episode, the therapist is Eugene's wife, right? And Joel hands her the weed he has, and she's like, oh, what is this? Eugene made way better than this. And we find out this is where he was getting it from. That's dope. And it's cool because it gives context to this scene in the game where it's actually Dina and Ellie that show up here and they find all the weed and all that, but it gives some context to that. I really like that. But this scene's controversial because in the game it was Dina and Ellie in here, and it's kind of an important scene, and they switched it up. They have Jesse in here with Ellie, but don't fret, people. She takes a bunch of weed with her, so I think that scene can still happen. It'll just happen later.
That was a raw deal. Joel having to put him down. Fucking shame. Guy makes it through a war. End up going out like that. What are you gonna do? Couldn't be saved.
Yeah.
Now what's crazy here is I'm assuming that Eugene got bit and Joel just had to, right? And Ellie's feeling guilty for two reasons. One, she's been bit. We just saw her get bit. She's immune, so she's probably feeling like, oh man. But then also she knows that she could potentially be the cure herself and that maybe he could have been saved. So she's feeling that guilt on two different levels, a survivor's guilt, and then also she could be the cure guilt, right? But also, fast forwarding real quick to like one of my favorite shots of the whole entire episode.
Follow me all the days of my life.
That shot is just ultimate surrender by the guy. The guy is that got bit is the one that hands the other person the gun to take him out because he knows what it means, right? And it's kind of just glossed over as this thing that happens in this universe. But then on the flip side of that, we had this situation with Eugene where there's obviously a huge buildup with Eugene's character. And even though it's most likely probably going to be a similar situation if he got bit and Joel has to take him out, on this one side, we just have this like this is just the way of the world. I want to know why Eugene's seems to be a little bit more different and a little bit more meaningful. We'll have to see what happens with that. A lot of these scenes in the snow were reminding me of Game of Thrones, like it was the wall that was getting breached, right? But I have a little critique here, just a little one, which is I feel like a cool part of the clickers in The Last of Us in the show is that it's like all prosthetics, right? And they really give this lifelike quality, but clearly with all these clickers and infected, it was all CGI, right? Which I get because it was thousands of them. But it did feel the CGI was kind of bad and they were using the snow to cover the bad CGI. Just a little critique there, whatever. Like that with the prosthetics, way more terrifying, way cooler looking. But you know, it is what it is. I love that scene because you kind of sit with the anticipation of the infected and the clickers trying to get Abby. Because I feel like in the show so far, the clickers and the infected don't seem like too much of a threat, right? Not to me anyway. And in this moment, you're like, oh, and it's not even just the amount of all of them. It's just, this is kind of the most intimidating they've been, in my opinion, so far in the show. And this scene really captures that.
Give me your hand! Can you run?
This is where I have a big issue with the show. This is my only big issue. And I feel like it still worked. It just didn't work as good as the game. And I brought this up in the first video. When they decided to announce Abby's motivation right from the get-go, I was like, all right, when we get to the point where she kills Joel, instead of it being a surprise, there's going to be this moment as you're watching, you're going to be thinking to yourself, no, Joel, don't help her out. Don't help her out. And there's going to be this impending doom feeling to it, which was there, and the tension worked because you're like really hoping he doesn't go to the cabin and all that kind of stuff. So the dramatic tension was definitely still there. Narrative wise, it just doesn't work as well for me personally compared to the game where you didn't know that Abby was evil yet and you had no idea she was looking to kill Joel. Because as we see, and we're going to talk about when we get to that scene, with how brutal Abby is, I think in the game, there's more of a sense of, oh, Joel's just trying to be nice and help somebody, and then boom, like it turns on him really quick. You don't get that vibe when you're watching this because you know what Abby is trying to do to him. So, I don't know. It worked. I was still invested. It just doesn't work as good as the game to me. I don't know what it was, but that moment where you see all the zombies turn away from Joel, Dina, and Abby, and they're heading towards, you realize they're heading towards the town, and they don't, That part was menacing. That was crazy. That was so fire. Oh my God, I love that shot so much. Now this part right here where everyone's getting ready on the wall, this really does remind me of Game of Thrones or even Lord of the Rings actually. But I just want to talk about real quick how this is really crazy to do in the second episode. This is almost like finale worthy territory here, which is really interesting because as we know, this season is not encompassing the entire second game. And so I want to know how in the world of finale could even top this moment. That makes me think they're going to add something that wasn't in the game at all, because there's no breaking point in the game that would have any type of a climax that would reach this level. So if this is like their highest budgeted episode and most chaotic and like a bunch of things happening all in the second episode, that's gonna be kind of wild. I wonder how that's gonna play out. Once again, that also reminded me of Lord of the Rings, you know, the ramp up until the wall is breached for sure. This is another reason why I like the switch up of having Dina go with Joel instead of Tommy, because it seems like they're wanting Tommy and Maria to have bigger roles in this show than the game, which is cool because of some things that happen with Tommy later in the story. I think it'll have even more of an effect if we're able to build up his character more in the show. I like that. I also really like seeing him in a role where he's this hero and he's protecting the town, the city, all that. I really enjoyed all that. I enjoyed that change a lot. So the releasing of the dogs here is 100% to me foreshadowing something that comes later in the story. If you played the game, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. And I think that's why they added this scene here. So now let's get into the moment that changes everything.
It's okay. I think I see just a little frostbite on your wrist, but it's not too bad. I'm gonna take a look. Easy. We're gonna raise your body temperature up slowly, okay?
So I'm curious if that frostbite is gonna have any type of consequences or anything, or if they just did that to show, you know, how cold it actually was outside. I'm curious if that's gonna come back at all. I'm also really curious how this is gonna affect Dina moving forward. Is she also gonna just want so much revenge just like Ellie? Because that would be different from the game, and that'd be interesting if they're both lusting for revenge. That would be pretty cool, to be honest. I wonder how that's gonna work out.
I'll let her live.
Wait, Abby.
Shut up! Where was the last place you saw the fireflies?
Salt Lake.
So there's so many changes to this scene that make it good and make it bad to me, both. There was good changes, there was bad changes. One change I like is that once again, Joel decided to do what he did to try and save someone that he was looking at as a daughter figure, right? Goes with his character. I like that. He told the truth because he didn't want them to kill Dina. Even if he didn't know if they were going to follow through with that, that's still the choice he made. I like that. Something I don't like is how long the scene is. I actually do like Abby's monologue basically here. I like it, but once again, it kind of takes away the surprise and the grim factor to it, to me. Also, it could also be how the scene is lit. In the game, it was like much darker setting and tone.
An unarmed doctor you shot in the head. That was my dad.
I hate that they revealed her motivation and the fact that it was her dad that got killed. The reason why I hate it is because it's just truly not necessary in this scene. Like, it's just not. You don't need to know that. I feel like at this point of the story, we do not need to humanize or empathize or understand why Abby's doing what she is doing. I really feel like that should come later. The writer was saying it's hard to empathize with Abby in a show form because in the game you get to play as her, and that like you kind of already build a connection just through playing as a character, right? But still, I agree with that. But revealing it in the first 2 episodes is unnecessary, and it takes away from this scene so much. Like, we do not need that sort of twist, that sort of plot reveal when Joel is about to die. They like almost made this scene, I'm realizing this just right now as I'm about to say this, they made this scene more about Abby than Joel. That's what I don't like about it. Just figured it out right now. She gives a bunch, she's the one that gives a monologue. She's the one that gets the revenge and the justification. Like, everything's about her. It's not about Joel dying. It's about Abby. That makes so much sense. I've been trying to rack my brain around what it is that's so different that I don't like. That's what it is. But on the flip side, I will say I do like the monologue. I do. And I love her acting too. Her acting was fantastic.
It doesn't matter if you have a code like me or you're a lawless piece of shit like you. There are just some things, everyone agrees, are just fucking wrong.
This piece of dialogue is so interesting to me because I feel like the point of the game and the show, just the story, is completely opposite of that. It's the exploration of how everything being morally gray. So it's interesting for them to put that in there.
Oh, it's funny. I have waited
Just shut the fuck up and do it already.
What's interesting with that is it's the polar opposite of the game. Joel actually up front says, save whatever speech you have and just get it over with. But in this, she's giving the speech. She gave the speech, just a monologue, and he's just saying, stop, get it over with. So it's actually like it flipped completely, which is that's pretty funny.
Stupid.
Please get up. Get up. Fucking get up!
Man, I can only imagine what people were feeling that didn't play the game when this scene was going on. I could only imagine, man. Oh my God.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you! You're gonna die! You're all gonna fucking die!
I had said that when it comes to the casting of Ellie for season 2, I'm going to have to see her have this rage and this just vengeful nature. And if she can reach that, I'll be sold on the casting. Hey, she reached it. Also, her crawling over and laying on top of Joel here, great touch. This was heartbreaking. And it's just a shot that'll be burned into people's memories. Man. Also, the ending shot here too. This really long shot of Joel's body just being dragged in the snow. Jackson burning in the background. I mean, it's truly a shot that you would see in a finale, honestly. Overall, I thought it was an amazing episode. So much tension, so much care. Like, it truly played like a finale. So I want to know where they're going to go from here. Like, is this going to be the peak? I wonder if the rest of the episodes are going to be able to keep up with this, because this is a wild second episode. Oh my God. Like, what in the world, man? But yeah, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know what you think of this episode. If you like this video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Until next week, I'll see y'all.